The story of her holding an orange. If you guys like this story, make sure you go and buy the book. Okay guys, before I get started, I gotta give you fair warning. This story is absolutely true, unfortunately. It is also very long. It goes back to my childhood, but I wasn't terrified until very recently, and I am now completely lost in fear. I'm an adult man, logical and intelligent, or at least I'd like to think so, sitting on a bed, scared shitless right now. Goosebumps all over my body, tears of horror in my eyes. I ask for your help in explaining this fucking thing. Caution. You'll notice that I cursed quite a bit. I want you to know that what you read from now on is the situation perceived by me in my mind. I like to think that I'm a rational person, and I haven't been able to explain these occurrences in any natural way. Since my mom got a job, she started making new friends. It's very common in our country that friends come to each other's houses for a cup of coffee, cake, gossip, whatever. A few weeks into her new job, my mom made friends with this woman, Rose. She would come over maybe twice a week, and they'd sit around the coffee table on our balcony and just talk. One day when I was 17, I was out on the balcony with them. Not too sure why I was there, but knowing me, I probably ran out of internet hours. Back in the day when the internet was bought monthly per hour in my country. And I was bored as fuck. So we're sitting there, they're gossiping about who knows what. And my mom gets up to go get some cake that she had baked recently. I remained sitting at the table with Rose, and that's when my life changed forever. Rose was a good-looking woman. She was about 5'6", skinny, long black hair, pearly white teeth, an overall very attractive woman. Anyway, I'm sitting there with her and she turns her head to me with this creepy grin on her face. The bright red lipstick and the bright white teeth underneath are just making her look more scary. Her head moving slowly, almost as if she was a puppet. She says something in the lowest possible tone, certainly not loud enough for me to hear it. "Excuse me?" I say, still not being scared, just a bit weirded out. "Are you ready to go now?" She said in the voice of a child. I kid you not, like maybe an 8-year-old girl. Grin still there, she mustered those words through her teeth, never opening her jaw. "What?" I asked, starting to get scared. "You ready?" The same thing again, only this time, she pulls an orange out of her purse. That's it. She just took the orange out and held it there. Didn't offer it, didn't eat it herself, just held the fucking thing. At that point, I was starting to get scared as fuck. Thankfully, my mom came back with the cake. Rose, almost as if someone pushed a button on a remote, switched back to her normal self, putting the orange back in her purse without my mom even noticing. I left the balcony creeped out, but I was 17, so I brushed it off pretty quickly. That night, I had trouble sleeping. My room was on the first floor, and my window was maybe at a 5-foot height. So I kept looking at it, praying to not see some scary monster or something. I would turn in my bed constantly to look at the window, maybe every 5 minutes. It was getting late and I started to doze off, but I decided to look at the window one last time. And there she fucking was, standing in the fucking window. Rose. Just standing, looking directly at me. The moonlight was bright enough for me to see her, with the same grin on her face. Lipstick was as red as ever. Teeth were whiter than ever. I was paralyzed with fear. I often imagine what I would do in situations like these, and I always had an escape plan for any hypothetical I threw myself in. But now, when this friend of my mother's was staring at me through the window at 4 a.m., just smiling. I was motionless. My mouth got dry. I got goosebumps. I have them now as I'm typing this. And I swear I became freezing in my room. Probably just the way the body reacts to shock. Finally, I gathered the courage to get up and started walking towards the door, her head turning with me, slowly, with the grin still there. Again, as if she was some kind of puppet. I wanted to scream for my parents, but knowing how tense they are, I decided not to cause a panic just yet. There had to be some sort of rational explanation for this, right? For fuck knows what reason, I decided to walk to the window and ask her what the fuck her problem was. I made 2 steps towards the window and froze. I froze because she moved. You know what her movement was? Taking the orange out of her purse. Does anyone know what the record time could possibly be for having goosebumps? Because they sure as hell aren't going away. Anyway, after being terrified for a minute, I decided to go on. I'm a big guy and I figure I'd be able to fight her off if push came to shove. My window has to pull up in order to open it. I pull it up maybe some 10 inches or so, and stop. She's not moving, just holding the fucking orange, and looking at me with the scariest grin you will ever see. I stand there. She stands there. Then, she starts bending. But every move she makes is so slow, like mechanical. She's bending so she can open the part of the window. I'm horrified. She pushes her head through it, just enough space for her head to go through. You go with me now? She says that in her fucking 8-year-old voice. Her hand is making its way through the cracks, holding an orange. What do? What you would do. Fucking run. I run out of my room screaming for my dad. And my dad, being a light sleeper, jumps out of bed and screams back, asking me what the hell is going on. All I could muster is, "Rose! Window!" While my dad is putting on his pants, I run back to my room, really wanting Rose to be there, so that I can show that I'm not crazy. You know how in horror movies, a person is gone by the time the witnesses come? Yeah, well, similar thing to that. Except, I caught Rose leaving. There was some house about 100 yards away from mine, and it was one of those motion-activated lights. Lots of crime back home. I saw the light turn on, and a glimpse of Rose disappearing behind that house. By the time Dad ran into my room, she was gone. After much talking, he decided that it was just a nightmare, and he told me only to call when someone is physically coming into my room. You and your fucking imagination, he said, walking away. Needless to say, I got exactly 0 hours of sleep that night. Nothing happened for the next few months. Rose would still come to visit, but I would make sure that I wasn't there. Fuck that. As in every teenager's life, so many things were happening around me, I totally forgot about the Rose incident. Then, one day, I was spending my afternoon browsing the internet. This was years before Reddit. And I got pretty hungry, so, like any spoiled child, I yelled from my room to see if my mom would come. She didn't. Oh well, tough shit. I got up to go to the kitchen and make myself a sandwich. The kitchen in our house was connected to the living room, but you can't see the living room unless you're in the middle of the kitchen. So I open up to the kitchen and walk in. I freeze. There it is, right on the kitchen table. An orange. Immediately thought of that creepy night. Rose is here. I'm motionless in my spot. A few seconds later, I realize how stupid I am for relating a common piece of fruit to a crazy window stalker. So I walk towards the table, wanting to put the orange back in the fruit cabinet. I grab the thing and then I hear the voice behind me. You will come with me soon, you know? A child's voice. It is Rose. I produced some kind of noise resembling that of a scared pig about to get slaughtered. Lightning fast, I turn around and there she is, standing in the middle of the living room. Just standing there. Same grin on her face, same lipstick on her lips, and her teeth were as white as ever. She only started tilting her head to the left a little bit. In slow motion, I remember it as if it happened yesterday. Her long black hair falling down her shoulders, a white summer dress, bright shoes to match her lipstick. And I forgot to mention that she was very pale. Even in the summer, she didn't seem to be friends with the sun. This added to the creepiness. This woman who had already scared the shit out of me once, standing alone in the living room, pale as a ghost, bright red lipstick and shoes, tilting her head to the side, speaking in a child's voice. And then, she takes an orange out of her purse. She takes it out slowly and looks at me, as if she wants me to have it. Just as my self-defense mode is about to take over, I either run away or tackle the crazy bitch. My mom walks in. And I know it didn't happen, but it seemed like my mom brought the light into the room. I released a breath of relief. Rose, of course, went back to her normal self. They were about to go for a walk, and Mom was getting ready in her room when she pulled her grudge shit on me. Since my parents wouldn't believe anything I would say about her, I wasn't sure what to do. The only thing I could do at that age was nothing, I think. But I swore I'd punch that woman if she ever came close to me again. A year or so passed without any incidents, and I was getting ready to go to the United States to study in college. Since I was going to play basketball there, I had to prepare for it. I spent the summer away from home, working out in a training camp in a town about 40 miles outside of my city. During the last night at camp, the last incident happened. My roommate had left camp the day before, and I had the room to myself. I was very excited about going to America in a few days, and I had some trouble sleeping. My room had a beautiful balcony. I was on the 3rd floor of the hotel, by the way. Since it was warm, I decided to go sit on the chair on the balcony for a while. I walked out, sat down, and instantly regretted it. It really is time to come now. I nearly shit myself. It's been a while since I heard that voice, but something like that, it stays with you forever. I turned my head to the right, and Rose was standing on the fence of the balcony of the room next to mine. Mind you, not standing on the balcony or sitting at the table, but standing on the fence. How she was balancing, I have no idea. The balcony was at least 50 feet off the ground. And she was holding the orange. The fucking orange. Only this time, the orange seemed to be somewhat rotten. Not nearly as bright as the first couple of times. I was scared that she would attempt to jump over to my balcony, as there was only a couple of feet of distance between them. I was also scared that she would die in her attempt to do so, and that I would be blamed somehow. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. It really is time, you know, she said in that childlike voice, never opening her jaw, teeth forever clenched together, and lipstick the color of fresh blood. She seemed even more pale this time, with her head tilted to the left even more. She wore her red shoes. What the fuck do you want from me? I screamed in desperation, angry at this woman who was causing me so much distress, but also hoping that someone would hear me and witness this crazy bitch's harassment. I only want you to go where you belong. She said that, and again, never opened her teeth. She only moved her hand forward toward me, offering me that semi-rotten orange. Fuck you, you crazy bitch. I opened the door to my room, and I was walking in, I heard, "You will come." I slammed the door, deciding that this woman must have been a schizophrenic. I probably would have flipped out more, but I was leaving the continent in a few days, at which point I would probably be safe. Wrong. I know I have a wall of fucking text, but this is the shortest version of these creepy events. I came to the US and have been here for 7 years now. I forgot about the incidents and went on with my life. The only time I ever thought about Rose was when I was talking to my mom, who said that since I left, her relationship with that crazy bitch had just fallen apart. I was glad. These were the best 7 years of my life. I got a bachelor's and master's degree, a wonderful girlfriend. You know, life's good. But fucking then, I'm a big technology geek, and I love Apple. Please don't shoot me down for this. So it was last Friday, September 21st, somewhere around there, the release of the iPhone 5. I'm in front of the store with about 50 other people. I am maybe 15th in line. It's raining, it's cold. I've been here for about 4 hours now. The doors finally open, and we start moving in slowly. I look across the street and instantly stop. People run into my back. I can hear them complaining, but it's all just bouncing off of me. Across the street, I see a woman in a white dress, head tilted, holding something orangish. A grin on her face, lipstick so bright red I can see it across the street. I can't move. Someone from the far back pushes, and I fell. While I gather myself, I see the woman disappearing behind a corner. I remain sitting on the ground. It was Rose. It was her, I swear. I sat there for a few minutes to get myself together and walk into the store. No phones left. I decide to walk across the street, and there it was. At the place where she was standing, now sits a mushed, terribly rotten orange. That's it, just a rotten orange. I started crying. All of the memories came back. I thought that my whole life would constitute being stalked of some maniac. How did she find me anyway? I spent the next few hours at a nearby coffee shop, drinking tea and reasoning how this could be logically possible. I kept no secret from my friends and family about my whereabouts. Did she stalk my Facebook? My friends? Did she travel here to harm me? What the fuck is her deal? Answering none of the questions that I asked myself, I went home, deciding just to keep it all to myself. My girlfriend noticed that something was wrong with me for the next couple of days, but didn't push it. I figured that it was all a fluke, because I was up all night and the morning. Plus, it was raining. How could I see that well? And that orange, that was just a coincidence. I convinced myself that I was just making it all up. So, today, a letter came. I get a lot of mail, so it's not out of the ordinary, but this envelope had no return address. I opened it and I was immediately shocked. I was holding a Polaroid picture. In it was me, standing in line in front of the store last Friday. Only the picture was taken by the person standing behind me, and it was taken at the exact moment I was looking across the street. I can tell because I could see the fucking horror on my face. On the back of the photo, there were a few words written in black pen. You come with me, now. I dropped the picture and started crying like a baby. Like, really, crying my ass off. My girlfriend found me in our room curled up on the bed still crying. She was terrified that someone close to us had died. She's never seen me let out a single tear before. I had to tell her. I started telling her the story, leaving out most of the details, so I can get to the point quicker. As I was talking, she was getting more and more pale. She never said a word. I finished my story and she was as pale as a ghost, not moving. Then she asked a fucking question that honestly caused me to almost faint. She said, "This woman, does she happen to, does she happen to hold an orange?" I froze. She started crying like I had never seen her cry before. We had a long talk that night. Her story would require a whole nother fucking wall of text. Honestly, I'm tired of typing, and I'm pretty sure no one is going to be willing to read all of this. I am so lost, terrified, confused. But if someone does read this, I'll write the rest. I'll write and hope that someone can offer a solution. An answer, maybe. Currently, we are both scared as fuck, not knowing what to do next. The police is an option, but what do we tell them? I don't know. I'm just fucking scared for mine and hers well-being. Please, help me. Update. Well, guys, shit. I don't know what to tell you. It happened again today. Except, I didn't see her. Let me give you a quick rundown of the events. 9 a.m. I go to the local police station with my girlfriend. We tell them all that we know and we show them the Polaroid. Although quite friendly, they say they can't do much other than file a restraining order against the person who, probably, in their words, isn't even in the country. They think that I mistook her for someone else, and the picture, well, they said it was probably a prank. They did take the photo and open a file about it, just in case it escalates. It did. 1 p.m. We arrive in town where I saw her. We went to the location and there was nothing there. Don't know what the hell I expected anyways. We stayed there for a little while. 6:30 p.m. Arriving home, the front door is open, which isn't that uncommon, as we live with 5 other roommates. We go upstairs to our room door is open. Now that is unheard of, as we always make sure to lock it, and our landlord is the only person who has a key. I yell asking if anyone else is there, no response. Also, no other roommates are in the house. We walk in, we freeze. Our room is decently small, constitutes of 2 queen-size beds put together, and a little dresser. That's about it. So, what do we see? The pillows were all on our dressers, towels on the bed, our sheets taken off and put on the floor. They're spread out, and in the center of it is an orange cut in 2 halves, with the little peel next to it. My laptop is facing the door, and it's playing the same song on repeat. My laptop was turned off before I left, and it's also password protected. The song playing is a favorite from my childhood, Africa by Toto. My desktop background was changed to one of a picture from my childhood that I didn't even have on that computer. 7 p.m. We call the police. They arrive some 15 minutes later. I take about 5 pics of the mess just before they get there. They say that they'll start an investigation, but claim it's still not serious enough for fingerprints and all that stuff. 8:30 p.m. They leave and tell us to call if anything else should happen, and also advise us to stay with friends if possible. We spend the next few hours just talking, trying to figure it out. We're both exhausted mentally and physically. I'm going to Skype with my mom tomorrow and see if she knows anything. I'll type up my girlfriend's story tonight and may post it in the morning if I don't finish it in time. I'll try to include the photos that I took. Holy fuck. This shit is happening to me. Alright guys, I realize I'm a little bit late with my girlfriend's story, but when you read my latest update, you'll understand why I'm quite consumed with what's happening to us. Nothing happened since the incident last night. The police called to check in on us in the morning. They still have no clue what's going on, really. So, to her story. Let me begin by telling you a little bit about us. As I said before, I was born in Bosnia and moved to a nearby country in the Balkans where I grew up. I came to America over 6 years ago. My girlfriend, she was born in India, grew up in Kenya until she was 3, then she moved to Canada. I met her a little over a year ago, and we've been together ever since. So, my girlfriend, let's call her Lila. She did have a few encounters with Rose. The first one that she remembers was on a plane. She was a flight attendant for Air Canada for several years. One day, about 6 years ago, she was flying her regular flight, but she couldn't remember what the destination was. It lasted maybe 2 hours. Once they took off and the seatbelt signs went away, she got up to serve the complimentary drinks. Halfway through a section, she met Rose. She didn't know it at the time, of course. She said something was terribly off about the woman. She had this creepy grin on her face. She was really pale and kept staring at her. When Lila offered her a drink and some snacks, she got no answers, only a wider and creepier fucking smile. And then Rose spoke. "I have something for you," she said in a voice that was definitely not natural for a woman her age. Her voice belonged more to a teenager than an adult. There was something playful but terrifying about it. Now, Layla has definitely seen some shit while flying, so she wasn't really taken back by this interaction. "Yes, what would that be, ma'am?" "Don't patronize me, you bitch," she said fast, like, really fast. Her jaw closed while saying it. Then she started grinding her teeth, never letting go of that fucking smile. This was a red flag for Layla. When passengers get aggressive, attendants walk away, unless there's some sort of physical contact. "Alright, well, you have a pleasant rest of your flight, ma'am, okay?" "I have this for you." She whispered that, holding an orange from behind her back, never moving a muscle on her face, still in the same teenage voice, like when a 12-year-old hits puberty kind of voice. "No, thank you." Layla decided to call it a day with the crazy cunt and just walked away. "Oh, but you should. Or one day, you know, one day." And that's that. Layla gave her the fuck off look and walked away. The lady never bothered her again during the flight. During that flight. Layla went home a few days later and didn't think much about what happened. When her mom asked her how her flight was, Layla smiled and said good, other than that really crazy lady. Her mom wanted to know more, so Layla started telling her about what happened. By the time she got to the word orange, her mom started crying. Layla was in shock. It was a story... Well, apparently when my girlfriend was a baby in Kenya, she had woken up her parents a few times with the loud crying. When they'd walk into a room, she would have an orange next to her crib. Everything in the house would be locked, windows, doors, everything. It got to the point where her parents moved the crib into her room and installed security cameras. Well, on Layla's 3rd birthday, that morning, when they woke up, they saw an orange lying next to Layla's chest. They were absolutely taken over by horror. They called the police came, looked over the security camera footage. The cameras clearly showed a woman opening the front door that was locked, walking into their room, placing an orange on Layla, standing there for like an hour, just standing there with her head tilted to the left, looking at her. By this point, it was unnecessary to say that Layla was completely horrified. Her mom wasn't doing much better either. Anyway, to keep the story going, her parents didn't know what to do. The police couldn't find this mysterious woman, and no security measure, other than 24/7 bodyguards, which they couldn't afford, was enough. Some of their family was already in Canada, and pressuring them to move. So this incident was the final push. They moved and left this creature with the orange behind. Until that day on the flight. Layla was completely unable to do anything for the next few days after that conversation. She didn't eat much, didn't communicate with anyone. After a while, she got better. There were no signs of further horror. She started believing it was all just a fucked up coincidence. And then she just went on with her life. She hasn't seen Rose for years after that. The last time she encountered Rose was about a month before we met. Layla did a lot of transatlantic flights. She loved him. Long travels, decent money, seeing the world. She had it all. 1 month before we met, she was coming back from a Hong Kong trip. She flew to Toronto, I think. She's asleep, and I don't remember exactly where, but I believe it was Toronto. Crew had a nice hotel, and everyone had their own room. Layla was on the 3rd floor. She loved drinking at the time and got pretty drunk that night. She passed out about 1 in the morning. At around 4, she heard a knock on the door. And then another one. And then another one. But they weren't loud or fast knocks. No. They were slow and silent, yet loud enough to wake her drunk ass up. She rolled out of bed thinking it was one of her equally drunk crew members. Not thinking much, she opened up the door and there she stood. Layla said the lights in her room were off, but the TV was on. The screen light was shining off of Rose's face, shining on the grin, shining on the pearly white teeth, the bright red lipstick, and the white face paired up with the tilted head. Now, you know how when you're drunk and some scary shit happens, accident, cops, etc., you sober the fuck up immediately, yeah? Well, she just let out this helpless sound of horror. They both just stood there. Rose started rocking back and forth. Every time she'd rock back, she'd reveal red shoes hidden underneath of her white dress. Her teeth were grinding. And then she pulled out an orange. What do you want from me? Layla begged. Rose kept rocking and smiling. Please, just leave me alone. I don't have anything. You take it. You take it now. He will too. She said with that same teenager voice. Only now a little more of a playful tone was used this time. Like a happy childish. I don't know if it was her defense mechanism activating, but Layla took that fucking orange and threw it over Rose's head and screamed, "Get the fuck out of here and take this shit with you, you freak!" That was the first time either of us saw Rose lose her smile. White teeth disappeared underneath those thick red lips. Head went back into a natural position. "I'll see you too soon," she said in an adult voice. The voice was scarier than the teenage one. Layla says it's because it sounded real, like a conscious, normal person making a threat. Of course, at the time, Layla didn't know me and had no idea who you two were. She assumed it was her and her mom. And, well, that brings us to today. Yeah, if you read the update from my last story, you saw that our room was broken into by Rose. Logical assumption. Pictures of the break-in were taken before the police came. Some stuff in our room was moved around and we're scared as fuck, clueless as to what's going on. I'll be Skyping with my mom soon to see if she has any answers. Layla's going to talk to her mom as well. I'm just personally shocked at these developments. I never believed anything like this was even possible. Quite honestly, if it was one of you who wrote it here, I wouldn't believe any of the shit you said. And I really can't blame you if you don't believe me. But if you have any idea about what this might be, I am all ears. I assume it's some sort of cult, but the only thing that fucks with my head is the fact that Rose knew my girlfriend before I did. Everything so far could have been explained in a logical way, I'm sure of it. But this took it to a super fucking natural level. Why are they putting in so much effort into getting us together? How did they do that? And more importantly, why? For what possible benefit? Fuck this. Man, fuck this. Hey guys, I promised pictures and updates, so here you go. Also, I will respond to some of the questions that you've sent. First things first, let's bring y'all up to speed. We have not had any encounters with Rose since last night's break-in. The police called this morning to check on us and told us to stay careful and call if anything should happen. I talked to my mother on Skype and it was, well, disappointing. She only knew Rose as a normal person. She doesn't really even remember Rose asking much about me. She never even got the hint that Rose might be a crazy cunt. My parents are now really worried. They're not sure if they think I'm going crazy or they're legitimately afraid for my well-being. Layla hasn't gotten a hold of her mom at this point. Her mom's in England. We've been talking a lot. We decided it must be some cult in action, since neither of us are believers in the spiritual side. It's hard to explain how Rose would know both of us before we even met each other. I got tons of PMs asking how me and Rose met. It's a good question, and I had forgotten to include it in my part of the story. Basically, last summer I was out with my best friend at a club. The club closes at around 1 a.m., and then everyone gets in front of it and sorta just chills for a while. While we were standing outside, an older man came up to us. He started openly hitting on me, in a homosexual way. Now, I'm far from a homophobe, but this man was persistent. Then I heard Layla's voice. "Hey baby, what are you doing?" I turned around and saw her sitting at a nearby bench with two of her girlfriends. I realized that she was talking to me. The look on her face told me everything. She was saving me from the man. I said, "Excuse me, my girlfriend's waiting," and walked over and sat with Layla. He came after me. Layla and I had immediate chemistry. The man didn't believe that we were together, and he kept asking questions about us. But Layla and I played so well off each other that he finally decided that we were telling the truth and left. We kissed that night. She was visiting town for only 2 days, but she promised to come back and see me. And she did, 2 weeks later. We've been together ever since. I realize that some of you may suggest that the man was part of the cult trying to force us together, but it still took free will from both of us to do what we did. So I doubt that possibility. Layla is in bad mental shape right now. She's terrified and jumps at every little noise. I don't know how to help. I'm scared myself, but I'm trying to appear strong for her. Some of you have suggested that this story is fake. I will say this. I am fully aware of how incredible this all sounds, and it's exactly why I posted it here. Many of you helped with advice and kind words, and I thank you guys. Others don't believe me. You can absolutely view my story as a shitty piece of fiction. I never said it had to be good, just true. If you guys feel that the story of my baptism may have something to do with this, I'll find time to write it. Although I have to note, you are an impatient bunch. Please wait while I go through this right now. Thank you. Some updates regarding the pictures I'm posting. So, I snapped a few pictures before the police came. Also, after they left, and left the orange. I noticed something engraved or written on the peel. I took a photo of that too. The bottom word I can decipher as Atvori, which means open. The top word, I can't tell what it is. I don't know what to do with the orange. I still have it. I'll throw it out soon though. Alright, enough bullshitting. This is picture 1. This is a picture of our staircase leading up to our room. This is picture 2. This is the view of the door from our room. This is picture 3. This is a close-up of the oranges. This is picture 4. This is a closer look at the oranges. Notice the peel. This is picture 5. This is another blow-up of the fucking thing. This is picture 6. This is the message written and engraved on the peel. This is picture 7. Like I said, someone changed it to the picture of my childhood that I don't have on my laptop. If anyone can make sense of this, please, I would really appreciate it. I'd appreciate any help at this point. Polaroid picture is at the police station, but the cop I know told me that if nothing happens within a few days, I'd be able to come and take a copy of it if I really wanted to. That's really all for now. I blurred out the last image to protect my privacy. Someone let me know that it had my real name in it. Also, here's another update. I told my mother what's going on and she asked if she could see the picture. She recognized it. The woman in the picture is her, and a friend she had when I was a child, and the kid in the picture is her son. She doesn't know where the picture came from, or that it was ever taken for that matter. My mom said she spoke to my grandma who still lives in Bosnia, and my grandma seems to know something. I'll have to call her tomorrow. I'll upload the desktop picture that was on my laptop, still in search of the original file and or hidden folder. Hey guys, after many PMs asking me for an update, I decided to bring you up to speed on what's going on. But first, here's the screenshot of my desktop that Rose, or her cult, put on my laptop. I haven't been able to find the original photo or any kind of hidden file. The woman on my left is my mother holding me. The woman on the right is her friend holding my childhood friend. We don't know who the child on the left is, or the woman in the way back. None of them even remember the picture being taken. So after I told my mom what was going on, she talked to my grandma. My grandma didn't tell her much, but had a feeling that she got upset after hearing what was happening. I decided to call my grandma, and after much begging, I got this story out of her. My grandma was born in Croatia, but grew up in Bosnia. She was the kind of child who would spend every day outside, walking outside, playing, exploring, etc. Her favorite spot to play was down by the river, not too far from where she lived. She'd often go down there with her friends. But on this particular day, none of her friends came along. She went there, always. She was doing her traditional build a fortress in the sand thing, when she heard someone calling her name. She looked to the road nearby, the only place where anyone would come from, and there was only one path on the beach. But no one was there. She shrugged it off and kept playing. Then she heard the call again. Dana. She looked around. Nothing. Dana! She jumped, terrified, and ran to the road to see what the fuck was going on. But no one was there. She thought it was one of her friends fucking with her and decided to turn around and go back to the fortress. Then she saw him. Above average height, maybe 6'4", dressed in a suit and one of those hats that gentlemen wore in the 30s. He had a dark black suit on, with a white dress shirt underneath it and a black tie, holding a cane. Thing is, he was standing in the water, about knee deep, in a suit that probably cost an arm and a leg at the time. She was taken aback, but as any curious kid, she decided to go check out what was going on. She walked up to the border of where the waves were ending. He was still standing in the water. "Yes, mister?" she asked politely. "I got something for you." "Yeah? What's that?" Well, as predictable as this story might be getting, it's unfortunately fucking true. It was an orange. My grandma grew up in a wealthy-ish family, and even through the tough economic times, she always had an abundance of fruit. So the orange wasn't exactly causing a wow factor in her. Thanks, mister, but I just had lunch. You can give it to someone else." No, Dana. This one is specially for you." He tilted his head to the side for a second. She thought his hat would fall off into the river. But it didn't. He still held the orange in his hand, offering it. "But I don't want it." "You take it. You take it now." My grandma's been through a lot of shit. World War II and the Bosnian War. She has seen some shit, man. But she's never seen something as scary as that man's face that day. She was a child, therefore very impressionable, and had a vivid imagination. But she swears that when he said that, his eyes, the white part, not the pupils, got much darker, and she could visibly see the anger on his face, although he still had the same grin on. She just started running away. She stopped and turned around to see if he was chasing her, but he was just standing there, looking after her. She said that she could see the darkness going away in his eyes. He put the orange back into his pocket, turned to the side, and started walking away. Through the fucking river. Like, step by step, with his cane. Like he was walking down the street. My grandma was scared for a while, but after a few years, he was just a memory that was rarely recalled. My grandma gave birth to my mom in '52. It was a happy day because my mom was her first child. The birth went fairly easily, but she was kept in the hospital for a couple of days. Last night before she was released, the man in the black suit came, almost 20 years later. She was sleeping. She had the room to herself. She woke up because a light came on in her room. In scary movies, you hear the noise, but there's no one there. Then they suddenly jump out from behind you. Yeah, that didn't happen. She opened her eyes and he was just standing there in the middle of the room. Same man, same suit, same hat. Not a day older than he looked 20 years ago. An orange in his hand. You did good. What do you want from me? You brought her. Who? What do you want? You only now have to take this, and it'll be all over. He was showing an orange and smiling. It wasn't a crazy grin. It was just a friendly smile. I don't want anything from you. Leave or I'll scream. Well, that's when he pulled the rose shit. He tilted his head to the side and put the scariest grin on his face, revealing the whitest teeth you will ever see. And he started speaking in the voice of a 10 to 12-year-old child. But Dana, you don't know. Get out! He will take it. As he said with the child's voice, he lost his grin and put his head back in a normal position, turned around and walked away. He got out of the room and he turned the light off. She never told anyone about this man until I pulled it out of her. It's been a little more than 30 years since then, until she saw him one last time. It was wartime in Bosnia. The country was demolished by political assholes who just wanted money. You know how wars work. Anyways, times were tough. Food supply was extremely limited. My grandma and grandpa would go days without eating. They'd hunt pigeons on the balcony and shit. That bad. But then, an orange started appearing on their doorstep every day. One orange in the center of the welcome mat. She remembers how bright it was compared to the grayness surrounding them. She would throw every single one of those fuckers out. My grandpa was confused as to why she would throw away a perfectly good food in times like this. But she wouldn't tell him. That is, until they showed up. Yes, they. The man in black and, well, Rose. It was '93 and they were bombing the shit out of their hometown, and nobody would even so much as stick their head out of a window, let alone walk out. But my grandparents heard knocking. They thought that someone had finally come to take care of them. Knowing that the intruder would just enter anyway if they really wanted to, they opened up the door. On the left was the same man standing. Same black suit, same hat, same cane, same age, but more than 50 years later. Next to him was a woman in red shoes, white dress, long black hair, extremely pale skin, and lipstick so bright that it would make you nostalgic for the grayness of wartime. She had her head tilted too, smiling from ear to ear. Hello, Dana. She spoke in a voice that my grandma said could only belong to a very, very young girl. "What the fuck is this?" my grandpa asked. Immediately, both of these peoples, I still call them people, lost the grins on their faces and looked at my grandpa. "You may want to be silent," Rose spoke in her adult voice, or what my grandma assumed would be her natural voice. My grandpa had been shot at, tortured, starved, but he never felt fear like that. He lost his voice and shut the hell up. Their grins returned, heads tilted, teeth popped out, as shiny as ever. "Where is he?" Rose asked in her childish voice. "Who? What do you want from us? We have nothing." "Don't do this. Just tell us where." Rose seemed like she was losing her patience. "But who?" "Your grandson." Her eyes pierced into my grandma's soul. She felt the blood freeze in her veins. He's not here. He's in Montenegro." She thought that whoever these people are, they would give up once they found out that her grandson, presumably me, had moved away, hundreds of miles away. They produced even weirder smiles, as if that were actually possible. They turned around almost synchronized and walked away. My grandparents watched them leave over the balcony. Bullets were flying around, bombs were falling everywhere. And they just walked down the streets with no fucks given, heads still tilted. They said they could still see him smiling. So I'll be the first to call it. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. This is becoming a fairy tale. This shit isn't happening. Yeah, I'm with you. Had I read it here or anywhere else, I'd enjoy the story, then tell OP to go fuck himself for trying to convince me that this shit is real. But this shit is real. I have no logical explanation for it. Are they a cult? Maybe. Why don't they age? Why are they everywhere? Why are they following everyone I know? I've become indifferent to what's going on to me. Since my first story, so much shit has happened or was discovered that I became dulled down to the point of not even giving a fuck. Put that attitude together with the fact that nothing has happened, until yesterday, to us since Rose's break-in. And you end up with one dude who doesn't give a shit anymore. I suppose everyone reaches this point at some time. Maybe it's a defense mechanism. Anyway, yesterday, Wednesday, I got off from work. My girlfriend decided that she wanted to get away from everything for a little while, so she went to a friend's house to stay for a couple of days. I like to alleviate my stress by working out. I had the day off and wanted to do a little more than just lift weights, so I decided to go on a long bike ride, 50 miles to the next city. It was really cloudy that morning, so I decided to take with me nothing but a couple of bucks for a bus ride back. Also, AT&T sent me an iPhone 5, and I definitely don't want to take that if it's going to rain. So, I went on my bike trip with nothing but my trek and a couple of dollars. About 30 miles into the trip, I got to this bike trail that led almost to the end of my destination. It was a 22-mile trail. I did this trip once in July and the place was absolutely packed. Hundreds of fucking cyclists everywhere. I could barely move. This time, the trail looked deserted. Nobody on it, and the weather became shittier and shittier as I went. The fog set in. I almost felt as if I were in a cloud. It was so moist, but without the actual rain. My shirt was just dripping with water, and the visibility was pure shit. I decided to keep going. A few miles into the trail, I noticed something. There were benches along the side. I haven't noticed them before. Cool. Since the road is so long, I guess you need a break at some time. I kept riding though. Visibility was at best 15 feet. About 7 miles into the track, I thought I heard someone laughing. I squeezed my brakes and slid for a few feet. I listened. Nothing. Well, I know what you think, and you're right, I'm a fucking idiot. Going on a long trip on a secluded track when I have a crazy cunt following me? Plot of a cliche horror movie. I know, and I regret doing what I did. But my reasoning was that no one had ever physically attacked me, so worst case scenario, I would be offered another fucking orange, right? I got back on the bike and did pedal a few strokes, and I heard the laughing again. It was coming from ahead. Fuck it, I'm biking through. The fog decided to have mercy on me and increase visibility to about 25 feet. That's when I saw someone sitting on a bench ahead. I lied to myself saying it was normal for a biker to sit on a bench and rest. That's what it probably is, right? You and I both know that, no, it wasn't a biker sitting there. It was a man. He wore a black suit. No hat or cane though, so I felt a little bit better. I switched my shit into the highest gear and started pedaling, Armstrong style. As I was passing him, he started laughing again. There was nothing around him, no newspapers, no phone, no bike. Just sitting, hands on knees, not even looking at me. Just looking ahead. And just as I'm passing, this fucker starts laughing hysterically. I got fucking scared. That was when I noticed he had an orange sitting right next to him on the bench. Then he looked straight at me. The Rose encounters were scary as hell, but this man was a whole new level. I kept pedaling. I heard the laugh one more time as I was riding away from him. The next 12 miles or so took me about 45 minutes. In other words, I wasn't slowing down. I got to the town where I wanted to catch the bus, and another shock was waiting for me. I arrived at the bus station at 4:10 p.m. The last bus was leaving at 4:30. The way these schedules work, this bus would take me to a small town at the beginning of the trail, where I would catch another bus home. Well, I come to the bus station, I see that the only bus there has 2 bike racks and they're both taken. Yep. Let's cut the artistic description and jump right to the point. The driver said it was against the rules to put a bike inside the bus, and that it was the last bus. If I wanted to make it home that night, I'd have to bike to the other town and arrive before 7 p.m., when the last bus leaves from my place. I had 2.5 hours to do 20 miles. Either that or spend the night there. I only had $10 on me, so yeah, bike back, you stupid shit. And good luck with the laughing man on the trail. I wish I could tell you that I persuaded the driver to let me in. I wish I could have stayed the night there. Could have maybe tried to pay for a hotel by giving them my credit card number. Could have tried. No, I decided to bike, and I got exactly what I deserved. 2 miles into the trail, I saw something on the ground about 20 feet ahead. I remember thinking how clean they kept this track, so it was strange how trash would be laying around. I slowed down. It was a G.I. Joe action figure, a toy soldier. It looked pretty new. Oh well, some kid dropped it while biking back with his family. Keep pedaling, son. A mile later, another object ahead. A basketball. I stopped, I pick it up, drop it, eyes full of tears. When I was in about 8th grade, there was a basketball tournament, a 3-on-3 in my school. I was so fucking excited for that shit. I gathered the best team I could find. If we win, we'd go to an even bigger tournament and maybe win some money. We arrived at the court and I realized that only 2 teams signed up in our age category. We were full of joy because that meant even if we lost, we'd win some kind of award. We lost. We actually got destroyed by the other kids, but since we ended up in 2nd place, we got a $50 gift card each for a store equivalent of Foot Locker. We all ran to that place. My friends all picked shoes and jerseys, but I picked this basketball. It was so unique. It was painted like a chessboard, 64 squares, 32 black, 32 white. Call me crazy for spending my gift card on it, but I loved it. At least for a few days, until I realized that the colors on it gave me a headache when it spun, and that the designers of this ball were a bunch of stupid assholes. So I threw it into the river when I crossed one of the bridges near my house. And now, I was holding the same ball, 5,000 miles away from home, in the middle of the woods on some bike trail that only I knew I'd be crossing that day. I froze, dropped the ball, and just wanted to yell. You get mad at some point, you know? You get mad that your life isn't normal like other people's. Why can't I worry about shit like my NFL team going to the playoffs? Or whether or not I'm gonna get a raise? Why do I have to go through this shit? What did I do? Well, I could contemplate about life or get the fuck out of these woods and try to catch that bus. I chose the latter, so I kept biking, carefully. After a few miles, another thing. A page out of a newspaper. It got lightly wet from the drizzle. I picked it up. It was an article about me. When I came to the US, the school I played for published an article about my life in the paper. There it was, in my hands. I dropped that shit and decided not to stop anymore. I biked by a bike that I owned when I lived in Bosnia. I biked by my old Iron Maiden shirt, by a picture of my family in a broken frame. I biked by a dead cat that was identical to the cat I had when I was 15. The faster I biked, the more items from my life became more and more common on the road. At this point, my story is becoming more unbelievable than any cheesy movie you've ever seen. Feel free to express all of your disbelief. Call me a liar. I would. I would have called bullshit 3 posts ago. I wish I was fucking with you. I wish I was doing this for entertainment. I'm doing this to get help, advice, something to set my mind at ease. At least for a minute. So I'm flying down the trail, about 2 more miles till I'm out of the woods from hell. It's getting dark, more and more foggy. And then, I hear the laugh. Only this time, it's a child. Or not. I slow down, scared of what's coming. I see the silhouette sitting on the bench. The same bench where the man was, laughing again. Not the kind where it's some kind of criminal mastermind laugh at his evilness plot, but a playful laugh. I guess you could call it a giggle. Only it's not a child. It's a woman sitting there. She's dressed in white. It was Rose. I pressed my brakes so hard I was surprised I didn't fly over the handle. She was sitting there, legs crossed, looking straight ahead, not at me, laughing. She turned towards me, tilted her head, and smiled, with a grin I've described so many times. "Sit," she said. This was the first time I got scared to the point where my extremities just gave up for a second. Other encounters with her, I was in my home, or at least in somewhat of a safe place. This was in the woods, and as I typed this, I realized more and more how fucking stupid it was of me to embark on the trip at a time like this. Maybe, I don't know, maybe subconsciously I wanted to meet her again. Meet her and bring an end to it. I regained some courage and got off the bike. I slowly put the bike down and I noticed a photo of me and my girlfriend laying in the road. It was wet and looked burnt. Fuck if I'm stopping now. I'm gonna talk to her. I walked over. She was still smiling, not moving at all. "Sit," in my native language, in a child's voice. "No. You've been a very stubborn boy, Milos." "I'm not a boy. I don't want anything to do with you people. Why can't you leave me the fuck alone? What do you want from me?" It felt liberating to express all of this frustration and scream at the cunt that caused my girlfriend and me so much pain. "No need to yell, Milos." "No, there is a need to yell. You're fucking with my life." "I only want you to come with me." "First, tell me what you want, and then I'll decide." She took an orange sitting next to her and offered it to me. "It's not your decision to make." Her voice changed to more of an adult one, but still not appropriate for a woman her age. "It's my life, you fucking bitch!" She lost her smile. You know, Milos, all this goes far back. You have no power over this. You will come. She yelled that word. Will. Like, yelled it at me. I stepped back, ready to knock her the fuck out. She got up. I'll fight you. I'll call the police. I will... You can't do anything. She cut me off. Who do you think I am? You think the police can help you? You think your friends can help? What the fuck are you, a cult? You want me for a sacrifice? She started laughing. She laughed while never closing her eyes, never taking them off of me. You silly boy. Her voice switched to a child's again. You have so much to learn about us. She stepped towards me. At that point, I honestly believed I was dealing with something other than a human being. I'll admit it, after I got home and cooled down and thought logically, I went back to the theory of it being a cult. But at that moment, right then, I believed that I was encountering something else. I'll ask for help from others then, I said, not even knowing what I meant. Church, maybe? She said it in a way that, like a child's voice imitating yours just to irritate you. You think your gods will save you? Ask your priest about me, then decide. Had no idea what the fuck she was talking about, but I decided I had enough. It was time to run. At that same moment, she stepped back and sat down, and just started looking at the orange. I ran back to my bike and got on it and started pedaling like the devil himself was behind me. I passed her. She started laughing uncontrollably, still just looking at the orange. I got on the bus at the last moment. I was a wreck during the ride. When I got home, I called the guy from the police station and told him what happened. He said he'd contact the local police and ask him to go check the trail out. I expect nothing. I spent the whole day thinking about what happened and how they could get all of the stuff that I'm sure didn't even exist anymore. Was that really the same cat I had 12 years ago? How? And what did she mean by ask my priest? So many questions and exactly 0 fucking answers. I'm absolutely mentally drained. I didn't tell my girlfriend about this because I don't want her to have some kind of nervous breakdown. Shit, I might have one myself. I'm a broken man, tormented by something I'm not familiar with. I'm so lost. Okay guys, a lot has happened since the last time that I checked in. A lot of you have messaged me asking if I was doing okay. Some of you even went as far as to sending me your phone number. Thank you for that. We have not encountered Rose since the last time. Also, we decided to move. I got a decent job in the south part of the US, and we thought that it might be a good idea to get out of there. My father did go see the priest who baptized me, and the story, it just becomes more convoluted, if you can call it that. Anyway, I got baptized in a church called Ostrog in Montenegro. Here's a picture of it. I don't believe in God in any kind of way, but this church is amazing. It was built a long time ago, when the Turkish Empire came and took over, and people took it stone by stone, where the Turks couldn't reach it. It is a magnificent building. Many people of different religions, including Muslim and Buddhist, come to the church in search of a spiritual help. It's the only place that I ever felt something more than just my non-believer reality. So, when I was 6, my dad decided to baptize me there. Neither of my parents were particularly religious, but my dad, he follows traditions, and baptizing kids is one of them. He decided that the baptism would be performed at the most famous church in the Balkans, Ostrog. You had to schedule it. The demand was so high that I was going to do it with a group of other kids as part of this group baptism. When we arrived there and disappointment awaited, for my dad, I couldn't give any less of a fuck. At the entrance of the church, the priest stopped me. You can't go in. He physically stopped me with his hand. The priests in our country wore long black robes and long beards. So I was standing there being held at arm's length by this Batman-looking dude. My dad jumped in front of me and asked what the problem was. "You, my child," talking to my dad, "I know you. I baptized you. I can tell." He did in fact baptize my dad 20 or so years ago before. "But your son, he can't go in." "And why is that?" my dad asked, shocked. "I really can't tell you, but it's better for all of us if you went somewhere else." "But why?" "Son, please, leave. But remember this, don't dare not baptize him. You have to." "I don't understand." "Nor will you ever. Just do it." So my dad took my hand and we walked away, not knowing what the fuck was going on. On our way home, he was trying to figure out what just happened. He thought that maybe I messed something up, like I peed behind the church or something, which did sound like my kind of thing, but I didn't. When we got home, we got a phone call. It was from the priest. He wanted us to come back right away. It was a 35-minute ride back. My dad and I were more confused than ever. We arrived at the church and all of the previous baptisms had already been performed. It was only the three of us there. "I decided to baptize your son despite what?" my dad asked curiously. "I dare not tell you, but it's important we do it fast." So we did. I walked in a circle and he went on with his prayers, spraying holy water on me. I remember getting bored as hell right before he finally finished. He told us to go away and not to come back, unless something out of the ordinary happened. My dad was just glad that we got it done. That was over 20 years ago. My dad went back there a few days ago. The priest was still alive, although retired. He still lived on the church grounds. It took some talking into, and donations, for him to speak up. I was baptized on February 13th, 1992. On the night before my baptism, the priest was handling his sheep. Back in the day, priests raised sheep and cows and they would mostly live off of that. When he saw a figure in the dark, it was strange for someone to stand out there that late at night, especially because visits were over and all of the clerical staff was already in their designated housing. "Hey, who is that?" the priest yelled. "Come, Father," a woman spoke calmly. The priest explained that from time to time he would get visits from desperate people, begging for blessing or shelter. So he went ahead to see what the woman had wanted. He said that when he came there, he saw that the woman was dressed in white, standing, not moving. She was standing among the sheep, but they formed a sort of circle around her, almost like a safe distance. The priest claimed that immediately he felt something unholy. "What do you want?" he asked in a defensive-aggressive tone. At that point, he knew it wasn't a peaceful visitor he was talking to. Tomorrow you will encounter a boy, just like any other. His name will be Milos. You won't baptize him." The priest told my father that he had performed several exorcisms, but he never was actually scared. This time, he felt unsafe. "You and your kind have no place on this holy ground." "My kind? Father? What would that be?" "You. Demons." His voice cracking with fear. She laughed. "Demons. I realize you're a man of cloth, but believing in demons? That takes a lot of faith, Father." "I want you to leave. Now." "Listen to me, you pity priest. I know who you are. I know what you think. I know you feel my strength. Deny my request, and you'll never sleep in peace again." Then she left. The rest of the story you know. He refused to baptize me and then changed his mind. Although he told my dad that he would be rather tormented by the unholy spirit than deny one of God's children a chance to connect with Jesus. He said that he had been praying for it ever since the day he baptized me. Every single night for 2 weeks after he baptized me, he said that he had seen the woman in white appear on his window. She'd be just standing there, looking at him, with head tilted. No smile, though, but only this face of anger. He'd say many prayers, but it didn't seem to affect her. Then his sheep started dying. There were no wolf marks or no signs of force, just laying there, dead. Finally, a number of exorcisms skyrocketed. He claims that this was a direct consequence of him disobeying the woman's orders. He even showed an exorcism videotape. They started filming them in the chapel around the mid-90s. To my dad. My dad says it was just unreal. Apparently a 13-year-old girl came to the chapel with her mom. Her mom was sobbing tears, begging for help. The priest started performing the ritual when the little girl started throwing stuff around. The priest called 2 young guys who came in to pray that day and asked them to hold her. She kept wanting to walk in circles, with 2 grown men holding her. And right before she fell to her knees, she said, "You shouldn't have done it, Father." She was cured. My dad had more than enough information thrown at him, but he wanted to know what this woman was. Priest said that he originally thought that it was some sort of demon, but a lack of prayer efficiency and her freedom of behavior on the holy ground was concerning. Then he thought it could be some sort of cult, witchcraft maybe. The problem is, she's been visiting him on February 13th every year. Any livestock he would have would die on that day. Any sick person coming for help to the church would get worse. A number of possessed people would skyrocket abnormally on the 13th. And at the end of the day, she would come to the window, no matter where he was. He tried talking to her many times, asking what or who she was. She never responded. She never aged. The priest was finally broken down to the point where he quit. He remained living on the grounds, but he just couldn't do the job anymore. He had lost faith. He claimed that God should have protected him. My dad says that he had been mentally unstable at this point. He was mentioning something about Morana, whatever that meant. It appears to be a goddess of death in some cultures, but I really think the man just has gone mad. I think that this whole story was just a jabber of an old man gone senile. Goddess, demons, hardly. Well, that would be the disappointing story of my baptism. I have not had any encounters with them since the last time. I'm moving away, hoping this helps. I also decided this. If I ever encounter them again, I'm gonna take the orange. I'm taking the orange. I cannot go on like this. Not forever. I just can't. And that's exactly what happened. I took it. Guys, this is a very, very good story. And I'll tell you what, the book is even better. So if you like this, make sure you pick up the copy of the book. That will be linked in the description. It's like $2 or $3 worth every penny. It is very good. I really hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank my $10 and above patrons: Dan R., Paul Z., Mr. Swiston, Official Jerboa, Chaos X, JY, Pyromancer, Hayden MH, Ethan A., Dark Side of the Bear, and all the $5 ones listed in the description. If you want to be part of this, go to the Patreon down below. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, there might be a little something about this book popping up on Patreon. If you want to see that, make sure you go over there.